Hello everyone. Before we start today's video, if you could all do me a solid and lightly tap the like button, perhaps share the video about and leave a comment. If you are not subscribed, subscribe as well. It would greatly help this channel. Thank you very much. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Captain's log. Subdates 220706.7. R. Kelly. R. freaking Kelly. Are we really inducting him into the halls? Man, the levels of depravity that the famous are willing to sink to. I now have to spend an entire video resisting the urge to make song puns, because we're uber professional here. Grumble. Hello everyone, welcome to the halls of injustice. Today we welcome inmate number 131 to the ISO cubes. This man goes by many names. The king of R&B, the king of pop soul, and the Pied Piper of R&B. He is hugely successful, one of the biggest artists of the 1990s, a man that is celebrated, well, was, mocked because his videos are cringe, and now rightly chastised for things he has done over many decades that has only recently gotten him into one of these cubes for an incredibly long time. His name is Robert Sylvester Kelly, more commonly known by the stage name R. Kelly, and I'm going to have to refrain from any obvious song-related puns. Then again, I only know two of his songs, the Midget one and the song used in Space Jam. So we'll start this video by talking a little bit about who he is, and then we're going to go through, and this is going to take a while, all his crimes, all of them, and there are a lot of them. Some of which were suppressed for a long time, some of which took many years to get any traction to lead to any discernible consequences. It can be argued the Me Too movement helped in that to an extent, but we'll certainly get to that when the time is right. So first of all, let us begin with who is R. Kelly. Robert Sylvester Kelly is 55 years old. He was born in the south side of Chicago. He has been twice married and has 3 children. Over his career, he has sold over 75 million records worldwide. He has won 3 Grammys for his work, one of which was for the song I Believe I Can Fly, which was used on the soundtrack to the Space Jam movie. He's also been nominated for multiple awards for producing other songs, more notably You Are Not Alone by Michael Jackson. At his peak, R. Kelly was worth $100 million easily, but owing to the fact he doesn't know how to do taxes, he owed them millions, which in turn now currently gives him a net worth akin to that of Amber Heard's in the negative. But unlike hers, his is only negative $2 million, and I say only. R. Kelly has won many other awards on top of the Grammys, more notably 2 American Music Awards, 1 BET Award. He has won dozens of Billboard Awards, that includes R&B Hip Hop and general Billboard Awards. He has won multiple awards for end-of-year charts. He has won multiple BMI, BMI Urban, BMI Film and TV. He has actually won so much. He even got the key to the city of Baton Rouge in 2013. I wonder if they've taken that back. The list is endless. For someone who has achieved all that he has achieved, you would have thought he'd hire an accountant. Clearly I'm wrong. R. Kelly got his break with his debut album in 1992, Born into the 90s, and his success maintained where it was, arguably up until 2007 when he released Double Up. Afterwards, his albums never really did anywhere near as good, with his last release being in 2016, 12 Nights of Christmas. R. Kelly's main inspiration as a musician actually came from his mother, because he used to listen to her sing and play records by Donny Hathaway and Marvin Gaye. He also has quite a good vocal range, from baritone to alto, which does mean he is able to make up some very useful and interesting techniques when he's performing. His performances now are more akin to that of a slippery gecko when he hits the high notes. If you don't know what a slippery gecko is, Google it. And if you don't like that I'm making light of something at the expense of R. Kelly in this context, I don't care. So now you know a little bit about him because I've condensed it down considerably. Let us now talk about all the crimes of R. Kelly that can go all the way back to the 1990s. Because R. Kelly has a taste, and his taste involves the word noncery or a 13-year-old cupcake. if you remember EDP. His tastes are of the younger blood variety, and they come with multiple consequences, including an illegal marriage. The fact it took over 30 years to put this prick away is astonishing. So for this we go back to December 2000. The Chicago Sun-Times reported that the police had made 2 investigations that R. Kelly was having sex with an underage female, but they dropped the investigations due to lack of cooperation by the girls accusing him. This all stemmed from a civil suit filed in 1996 by Tiffany Hawkins. It detailed allegations that starting in 1991 when she was 15, the 24-year-old R. Kelly had sexual relations with her as an underage high school student. He had also encouraged her, allegedly, to recruit her school friends, and pressured her into engaging in group sex with other underage girls. R. Kelly settled the lawsuit with Tiffany Hawkins for $250,000. In 1992, Barry Hankerson introduced his niece, Aaliyah, to R. Kelly when she was 12 years old. Aaliyah went on to become a very successful singer herself, up until her tragic passing in 2001 when a plane was overloaded by 700 pounds. A witness had testified that R. Kelly had sexual contact with her starting when she was 13 or 14 years old. R. Kelly wrote and produced Aaliyah's first album. R. Kelly, when 27, illegally married Aaliyah when she was 15 in a secret ceremony in Cook County, Illinois, with R. Kelly's tour manager Demetrius Smith admitting that he had facilitated the wedding by obtaining falsified identification for Aaliyah, which listed her as 18. The marriage was later annulled in 1995 at the behest of Aaliyah's family by a Michigan judge. Both R. Kelly and Aaliyah had denied that the marriage occurred, or that their relationship had moved beyond friendship. However, in 1995, Aaliyah filed a lawsuit in Cook County to have the marriage record expunged, stating that she was underage at the time of the marriage and had lied by signing the marriage certificate as an 18-year-old. Interestingly, those marriage records were included in a lawsuit by Tiffany Hawkins, who sought to use the marriage documents in her case against R. Kelly, which then led to Hawkins accepting the $250,000 from R. Kelly's settlement, which was also subject to a confidentiality agreement in 1998. This we'll come back to later because it is used in 2019 by federal prosecutors. In 2002, a video began circulating that had allegedly depicted R. Kelly's sexual abuse of a girl known to be underage. This included R. Kelly urinating on her. That story was first published on February 8, 2002, which is the exact same day that R. Kelly performed at the opening ceremony of the 2002 Winter Olympics, with R. Kelly vehemently denying that he was the man in the video. In June 2002, R. Kelly was indicted in Chicago on 21 counts of child pornography. That same month, R. Kelly was arrested by the Miami police on a Chicago arrest warrant at his Florida vacation home. After one night in jail, he posted bail of $750,000. The victim refused to testify at the trial, and the jury found R. Kelly not guilty on all 14 counts in June 2008. While investigating the photographs reported in the Chicago Sun-Times, Polk County Sheriff's Office conducted a search of Kelly's residence in Davenport. During the search, they recovered 12 images of an alleged underage girl on a digital camera wrapped in a towel in a duffel bag, which also allegedly depicted R. Kelly involved in sexual conduct with the female minor. Police investigators from 2 separate counties then arrested R. Kelly in 2003 at Miami's Wyndham Grand Bay Hotel for 12 counts of possession of child pornography. Kelly posted bail of $12,000, and in March 2004, they were dropped due to a lack of probable cause for the search warrants. If anyone else is wondering, I doubt it was the fact that his music was starting to go downhill was the reason his records weren't selling as much. This may well have played a part. Something we didn't discover until 2020 was that in 2009, R. Kelly's former wife Andrea claims that he was accused of molesting a preteen in 2009. In 2015, R. Kelly appeared on Huffington Post Live in an interview with journalist Caroline Modaresi-Tehrani. The interview was conducted so he could promote the release of his solo album, The Buffet. During the interview, though, Caroline quizzed him about the sexual abuse allegations being leveled against him. R. Kelly grew angry, defensive, shouted over Caroline, asked whether she drank, and threatened to leave to go to McDonald's, with R. Kelly storming out of the interview before it ended. This was, one of the very first occasions where R. Kelly was actually asked about the allegations against him on a public platform. In 2017, Jim DeRogatis reported for BuzzFeed News that R. Kelly was accused by 3 sets of parents of holding their daughters in an abusive cult. R. Kelly and the alleged victims denied the allegations. In March 2018, BBC World Service aired a documentary entitled R. Kelly, Sex, Girls and Videotapes, presented by reporter Ben Zand, that explored the 2017 allegations. It was subsequently followed up with another documentary on BBC Three titled R. Kelly, The Sex Scandal Continues, which included interviews with the Savage family. In 2018, R. Kelly was again accused of misconduct by a former partner of his who claimed that R. Kelly intentionally infected her with an STD. In January 2019, a woman named Asante McGee, who R. Kelly met in 2014, had taken to live with him for some months. She said she lived with not only Kelly alone but other women, saying that he controlled every aspect of my life while I lived with him, with McGee later moving out on her own accord. As a response to all the accusations levied against R. Kelly, and with the Me Too movement and Time's Up movement in full swing, many called for a boycott of him. Spotify had announced they were going to stop promoting or recommending his music, along with other people. Apple Music and Pandora said they would cease to feature or promote Kelly's music. Some did say that by doing this, these platforms would create a slippery slope of muting artists. There's a point there. In early 2019, R. Kelly was dropped by his record label RCA because of all these allegations. There was a Washington Post reporter who wrote The Star Treatment that alleged that music industry executives were willfully blind to R. Kelly's behavior towards underage girls. R. Kelly responded to this in July 2018. All of this, like his hero O.J. Simpson, by writing a 19-minute long song called I Admit, where he does not make any criminal admissions despite its title and chorus, which repeats the lyric, I admit it, I did it, which many of us can agree is clearly a form of trolling on his part. Documentaries were done after that, Surviving R. Kelly being the more famous. It was a 6-part documentary series that went through everything. But there was a second season of it, so there was more. Turns out they didn't get everything in the first season. R. Kelly got one last award because of this, in fact. He's now in the Guinness World Records as the most searched male musician on Google in 2019 and 8th overall on Google's list of 10 most searched people for that year. R. Kelly did do one more interview. It was on CBS's This Morning with Gayle King. During that, he insisted that he was innocent and further blamed social media for all the allegations, with him being memed to high heaven for this, having severe emotional outbursts, standing up, pounding his chest and yelling. Now, I haven't actually addressed the reason he was in court more recently and then subsequently put into one of these cells, so I guess I'm going to have to do that on its own. For that, we go to 2019, Cook County State Attorney's Office in Illinois. Disclaimer: this all started in 2019, what got us to now, and involves law enforcement and prosecutors across several jurisdictions who all united to form the Avengers against R. Kelly because they brought criminal indictments against him. He was screwed at this point. On February 22, 2019, the Cook County State Attorney's Office in Illinois charged R. Kelly with 10 counts of aggravated criminal sexual abuse. The charges alleged that from 1998 to 2010, R. Kelly had sexually abused 4 females, 3 of whom were teen minors at the time, with evidence including a video provided by Michael Avenatti, the guy who represented Stormy Daniels, who himself is also, a convicted felon. R. Kelly turned himself in the day the charges were announced, and he was arrested by Chicago PD and taken into custody. The judge set the bond at $1 million and ordered R. Kelly to have no contact with any minor under 18 or alleged victim, with R. Kelly pleading not guilty to all charges. After 3 nights at Cook County Jail, he was released on bail. The first grand jury indictment from the Eastern District of New York was handed down June 20th, 2019, and on the 11th of July 2019, R. Kelly was arrested on federal charges alleging sex crimes and obstruction of justice by U.S. Homeland Security investigators and NYPD detectives in Chicago. Federal prosecutors from New York and Chicago then indicted R. Kelly on 18 charges. This included child sexual exploitation, child pornography, production, sex trafficking, kidnapping, forced labor, racketeering, and obstruction of justice. the United States Attorney for the Eastern District of New York filed a letter in support of a permanent order of detention that previewed its case against R. Kelly, concluding that preponderance of the evidence that the defendant's release poses a risk of flight and a risk of obstruction of justice, with R. Kelly's first arraignment on the Eastern District case taking place before a U.S. state magistrate on the 2nd of August 2019, where he pled not guilty. His bail was then subsequently denied on grounds of both dangerous and flight risk. R. Kelly's lawyer had attempted to make a request for a pre-trial in October 2019, and his lawyers had tried to secure pre-trial release in 2020 because of the COVID-19 pandemic. This was also denied. Superseding indictments were filed in Chicago on the 13th of February 2020 and in New York on the 13th of March 2020, raising the total number of charges to 22. He was then incarcerated at Metropolitan Correctional Center in Chicago from the 11th of July 2019 to the 23rd of June 2021, when he was then transferred to the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. On the 5th of August 2019, the state attorney's office in Hennepin County, Minnesota, charged R. Kelly with soliciting a minor and prostitution. Prosecutors alleged that in July 2001, following a concert in Minneapolis, R. Kelly had invited a girl up to his hotel room and paid her $200 to remove her clothing and dance with him. We're not done, people, because now we're on to the first indictment trial in the Eastern District of New York in 2021. In July 2021, federal prosecutors asked the court to include alleged evidence of bribes, recordings of threats, and more allegations of sexual abuse of minors, including an underage boy he met at McDonald's, as pattern evidence in his trial. With this trial beginning on August 9th, 2021, dubbed United States versus Robert Sylvester Kelly. That same day, R. Kelly's lawyer filed a last-second motion to dismiss charges related to his transmission of genital herpes to several of the victims. Understandably, Judge Donnelly, presiding judge, denied the motion. The trial began in earnest on the 18th of August 2021. The first witness called was Jahonda Pace, one of the subjects of surviving R. Kelly. She was the first of any of R. Kelly's accusers to have ever testified against him in court. Pace testified that R. Kelly's abuse included slapping, choking, and raping. On cross-examination, Pace was asked about signing a statement that she had deceived R. Kelly about her age, and replied that it was a condition of a settlement. In all, 11 witnesses at R. Kelly's trial accused him of abuse, either sexual or physical. Some, both. 2 accusers were men alleging that R. Kelly had sexually abused them as children. One had recruited the other and testified as a cooperating witness. In addition, 8 employees of R. Kelly's staff testified, corroborating details of R. Kelly's modus operandi. Toward the end of the testimony on the 15th of September 2021, video corroborating accusers' accounts of abuse was shown to the jury, but not to the public or media. The videos were alluded to in later closing arguments as depicting R. Kelly delivering a painful spanking to one accuser, and a lengthy recording in which R. Kelly demanded acts of, "What the fuck are those?" Okay, so a quick look, scat. To humiliate another accuser. On the 27th of September 2021, after a 6-week trial and 2 days of deliberations, the jury returned a verdict of guilty on 9 counts on the verdict sheet. They include 1 count of racketeering, 8 Mann Act violations. This act was named after Congressman James Robert Mann of Illinois, originally known as the White Slave Traffic Act. In its original form, the act made it a felony to engage in interstate or foreign commerce transport of any woman or girl for the purpose of prostitution or debauchery, or for any other immoral purpose, with the stated intent to be to address prostitution, immorality, human trafficking, particularly where trafficking was for the purpose of prostitution. Of those 8 Mann Act violations, you have 3 counts of transportation across state lines for illegal sexual activity, 4 counts, coercion and enticement, and 1 count of transportation of a minor. Don't worry folks, there's also a boatload of racketeering involved. Here they are, because I can't be asked to read through all of that. By all means pause the video and read it at your leisure. So now we have that. We finally have R. Kelly guilty. Not that it's over yet, there's another trial, and it hasn't even happened yet. We're now going straight to the bleeding sentence, because this video is far too long. Sorry folks. Robert Sylvester Kelly, aka inmate number 131, was sentenced on the 29th of June 2022 by Judge Donnelly to 30 years imprisonment. In addition to prison time, a $100,000 fine plus statutory $40,000 human trafficking penalty was also handed down. Contesting the assessments, attorney Jennifer Bongine claimed that R. Kelly has lost his income and is, broke. Prosecutors have countered that by saying that R. Kelly secretly sold rights to his composition and lyric royalties for $5 million. Restitution will be considered in September of this year. Twice, R. Kelly's been placed on suicide watch since. First in October 2021 and this month, July 2022. He is no longer on suicide watch. R. Kelly has stated he intends to appeal, and that aside from sentencing, R. Kelly would possibly be transported to a Chicago prison as he has an upcoming federal court trial in August of 2022 on child pornography and obstruction charges. On top of that, he also faces various state charges in Illinois and Minnesota. Get in your bloody cell, Robert. Enjoy your time here.